5 mistakes. That's all it takes to turn your LLC from a legal shield into a worthless piece of paper. And I've seen it happen. I've done it to small business owners, entrepreneurs who thought that they were protected, who filed the paperwork, got the LLC, who believed that they were safe. Then they got sued and they learned the hard way that their LLC couldn't save them. I'm Karam Nahas, the battle-tested lawyer. For 20 years, I've been in the legal trenches. I've advised entrepreneurs on over $1 billion worth of deals. So today, I'm going to show you that the 5 most costly LLC mistakes I've seen destroy entrepreneurs. And these are part of the 101 deadly mistakes that I teach at Legally Bulletproof. If you're making even one of these, you're exposed, and let's fix it now. Your LLC is supposed to be your first line of defense. It's supposed to create a wall between your business and your personal life. That's the goal. And if your business gets sued, your house, your car, your savings, all of your personal items, they're supposed to be protected. That gives you peace of mind. But here's what I've learned after 20 years in the legal trenches. Most LLCs, they are just paper shields. They look official, but they crumble the second that somebody attacks them in litigation. So let me show you the 5 mistakes that make it easy for them to do that. Mistake number 1, you have no operating agreement. This is no excuse. This is probably one of the most common mistakes that I see, and it's one of the most deadliest because an operating agreement is the rule book for your LLC. It tells the world who owns what, who makes what decisions, what happens if there's a dispute, what happens if somebody wants out. Without one, you know what happens? Your state decides for you. In fact, that person in the robe, the judge, they apply the state default rules, which weren't written in your best interest. They might say that any member can dissolve the LLC whenever they want. They may say that all members have equal shares, even though they didn't invest the same amount of money. Those default rules say whatever they want to say, and you have no idea what they say. So if you don't have an operating agreement, then that judge is going to run your business, and you don't want that. But here's the real danger. When you end up in litigation, and it's easy to get there, opposing counsel is going to look at your LLC and say, Your Honor, they didn't even have an operating agreement. They didn't take this business seriously. This LLC is a sham and basically an alter ego of their personal life. And that's a very tough argument. That's how they pierce your protection. And I've done that. Now, I've seen it work. I've seen judges agree no operating agreement means basically no protection. So even if you're a single member LLC, even if it's just you need an operating agreement. And this isn't optional. This is survival. And it may save you against creditors one day. Now, mistake number 2 is really deadly. That's commingling funds. And it's the fastest way to destroy your LLC protection. Now, commingling means mixing your personal money with your business money and using the business account to pay personal bills. And I know most entrepreneurs do this. Transferring money back and forth without documentation is a problem. Paying yourself randomly instead of through proper distributions is a problem. Here's what happens when you get sued. Opposing counsel is going to subpoena your bank records, all of them, business and personal. And when they see that money flowing back and forth and there's no rhyme or reason for it, and I've seen that when they see you paid your mortgage from the business account, when they see that the LLC is buying your groceries literally every other day, they're going to argue that you and the LLC are basically the same thing. There's no separation. The LLC is just your alter ego. And courts will agree with that. Commingling funds is one of the top factors that the courts look at when deciding whether to pierce your LLC or not. So here's the rule. Keep it simple. Your business account is for your business. Your personal account is for personal. They should never touch. You should pay yourself through documented distributions or payroll. Everything is recorded. It's not complicated, but most entrepreneurs, they get lazy, and laziness costs them everything because they love to play offense. It's all about branding, sales, and marketing, but they neglect their defense, and that's where they lose. So stay with me because mistake number 3 is the one that surprises most entrepreneurs, and it might be the reason that a judge decides to pierce your LLC and take your personal assets. Now, mistake number 3 is undercapitalization. So what does that really mean? This one surprises people, but it's a killer. Undercapitalization means you didn't put enough money into your LLC to reasonably operate the business. You start an LLC, you put $100 in it, and you expect it to project 6 figures in revenue. Now, the courts look at this and they say, did this business have enough capital to meet its expected obligations and cover potential liabilities? The answer is no. That's evidence that the LLC was never a real business, that it was just a shell, a facade to hide behind. So here's how it plays out in court. You get sued. The opposing counsel argues that the LLC was undercapitalized from day one. They say you knew that you couldn't meet your obligations, but you hid behind the LLC anyway. The amount of money you invested did not cover potential liabilities, and they call it fraud And at a minimum, they call it bad faith. Now, the judge is looking at you differently. Now they're thinking maybe this LLC should be pierced. Let me give the opposing counsel some more leeway in discovery. So now the judge is giving opposing counsel a lot more discretion in what information they get. So what's the fix? To capitalize your LLC property, put real money in, keep reserves, make sure your business can actually meet its obligations. If your LLC has $50 in it and you're running a real business, you're asking to get pierced because that's undercapitalization and that's not going to cover really anything. So if you're realizing you've made one of these mistakes, hit subscribe right now. Drop me a comment. Tell me which one. I read every single one and I'll give you some advice. Let me know what video you want me to do because I'd love to educate you from the mistakes of others. Now, mistake number 4 is ignoring your ongoing compliance requirements, and I bet you don't even know what they are. Filing an LLC is not a one and done event. It's an ongoing responsibility. Every state has requirements, annual reports, franchise taxes, registered agent renewals. Some states require meeting minutes and resolutions. Miss a deadline, your LLC could be administratively dissolved. Poof, gone. And you might not even know what happened. Now, I've seen this nightmare scenario play out. It's dissolved and you get sued. You've got a big problem. Entrepreneur gets sued. They go to defend themselves. They find out their LLC was dissolved literally a year ago because they missed some annual report, some other formality. They got a problem. Every contract they signed, every transaction they made, they were personally liable for all of it. No LLC protection, no shield, nothing. And here's the thing. When you're in litigation, an opposing counsel sees that you missed filings, forgot reports, let your registered agent lapse. That's just ammunition you don't want to give them. That's evidence you didn't take your LLC seriously. That's evidence you're not following formalities. And guess what? That's part of the alter ego factors that a court can look at. So you have to understand compliance. You have to put certain deadlines in a calendar. Compliance isn't sexy, but it's what keeps your protection intact. And it'll really save your business. Trust me. Now, here's mistake number 5. And this one ties everything together. If you miss this, nothing else really matters. Mistake number 5 is not keeping your personal and business life separated. There has to be a separation of identity between you and the LLC. That's the best way to think about it. Completely different people. This is the big picture mistake. And it ties everything together. Like I told you, your LLC is supposed to be a separate legal entity, a separate person in the eyes of the law. But if you don't treat it that way, courts are not going to treat it either. What does separation actually look like? Separate bank accounts, separate records, contracts signed into LLC's name, not yours, separate phone numbers, business cards and websites that identify the LLC, meeting minutes, documenting major decisions, the LLC paying its own expenses, reconciliation records. What does no separation look like? You signing contracts personally, using I instead of the LLC name, having the same address as your home, as your business, no records of any decisions, money flowing wherever, no distinction between you and the business, spending out of the business account for personal things. Those all show no separation, that the LLC is really just your alter ego. And that's where the whole term comes from and the entire law. And you're going to be standing there personally liable for everything. And if they get you for fraud, you can't discharge that judgment in bankruptcy. So I tell my clients this all the time. You have to treat your LLC as a completely separate entity, completely separate person. It's the best course of action. So here's what I want you to really take from this video. None of these mistakes are complicated to fix. Operating agreement, separate accounts, proper capitalization, stay compliant, maintain separation. It's not rocket science, but most entrepreneurs don't do it. They file the LLC and they forget about it. They get busy with sales, marketing, life, and defense falls to the bottom of the list, but it has to be a priority because until they get sued, then they realize it's too late. And that's why I created Legally Bulletproof. There's 5 enemies that every entrepreneur faces, and they're out there. I've got the same ones. They're looking for these exact mistakes. And when they find them, they attack. And they attack you in the 7 legal danger zones. Now, your job is not to give them the ammunition. Learn from the mistakes of others. That's what Warren Buffett said. Other entrepreneurs already paid the price for these lessons, and it was really expensive. So you don't have to learn them the hard way. Be proactive. Fix these mistakes now before the enemies come knocking, and you'll be vulnerable. Defense wins championships. I say this all the time. So take the free risk report that I created for you. It's 5 minutes. It shows you exactly where you're legally exposed across 7 danger zones, including danger zone 2, business structure. It's where your LLC lives. Find the gaps before your enemies do, before it's too late. The link link is in the description below. And if you want the complete system, the operating agreement, templates, compliance, checklist, the full business defense training, check out Legally Bulletproof. I created it so you can learn from the mistakes of others. Subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment. Tell me what video you want me to do next. I'm Karam Nahas, the battle-tested lawyer. Like I say, your job is to stay legally bulletproof.